Good afternoon, guys. It's Workin bringing you a quick update on Bitcoin. Hope you guys are having a wonderful afternoon. We're looking at Bitcoin to the US dollar. This is the 1 week chart. And wanted to start off with the weekly chart again, this guys, because we are really, I know I've been saying this for my last few updates, guys, but we're really getting to a critical point here, guys. I can't stress this enough, where I do think BTC is about to make a larger move. As I said, guys, we've got three major resistance that we are currently hitting as we speak. This 4120 zone, which has been an extremely strong resistance going all the way back to December of last year. We've just been unable to decisively break above that, guys. Now, we've wicked above it, but we've been unable to decisively break above that 4120, and we're certainly starting to test it right now, trading at about 4890, or excuse me, $4,090, $4,080, somewhere there around, somewhere thereabouts, guys. So very, very relevant, guys. We're hitting this massive descending resistance line as well, guys. It's been in place since April of last year, as well as this bear flag. Well, could be possible bear flag, certainly a wedge where price is getting squeezed tighter and tighter here, and we're hitting the descending resistance line of that wedge as well, guys. So three major areas of resistance that are all converging, that we're all hitting all at once right now. We've got some volume backing this up, guys. Our volume is currently, let me go ahead and refresh it. Volume currently sitting at 10.7 billion on the day. Again, that is a nice uptick in volume, even though we know a lot of that is wash trading, guys, which you know, there's no question a lot of that is wash trading, and this is becoming more and more of an important topic as it's being revealed just how much fake volume has been on exchanges over the last year or so. So there's no question a lot of that is fake volume, but still we're seeing an overall increase in volume, an overall increase in real volume. And in fact, if you come over here and look at a friend of mine pointed out a decent website, openmarketcap.com, guys, and it basically looks at trusted exchanges and only looks at the volume from trusted exchanges, guys. And I won't get into how they verify what a trusted exchange is and all that, but basically all the trusted exchanges listed on here are pretty much 100% real volume. And looking at that, we're seeing an uptick of about 11.3% just today in real volume on BTC, and we're also seeing that on quite a few other coins as well, which is a good thing to see. We're seeing that on EOS. I think is up even more than that. EOS's volume. Let's see, where was it? Yeah, sitting up at, and again, I'm looking at Binance at the top here, 42% on Binance, 22% on, or excuse me, 21% on Bitfinex, 25.9% on the Binance EOS BTC pairing. I'm talking about EOS now just because it's, it just happens to be one of the altcoins that's popping. But as we know, anytime the whole market moves, anytime BTC moves, usually altcoins move at a greater degree. So we're watching the overall market is looking poised to move, in my opinion, guys, very, very, very shortly. We could see a major breakdown. The trend is still bearish, guys. We still have yet to clear these massive resistance lines that we do have to decisively break above. I can certainly see a scenario, and we've seen this more than once, especially when you're looking at a bear flag like this, guys, a possible bear flag, absolute wedge, possible bear flag. But we've seen it many times in the past where price breaks up, traps people into long positions, and then just comes crashing right back down. We've seen that numerous times. So just because we clear this resistance area and that 4120 on price, just because that gets cleared, guys, does not mean you're out of the woods. You need to watch out for that possible bull trap, guys. Where would that bull trap happen? I mean, it could happen. It could happen taking off right away out of there, guys. Possibly coming up, hitting the top of this zone here, which would be about 4,300. If we look at these prior wicks here, but even coming up here, guys, we can see this was at a very relevant demand zone that was created all the way back in October of 2017 when we finally broke up and went on our massive bull run, came back down, acted as support, and this demand zone acted as support. That demand zone is between approximately 6,000 going all the way down to about 5,300. That demand zone remained in place and just bounced off top of that demand zone all throughout most of 2018 before crashing below it. So I would expect what was a very strong support to act as a rather strong resistance. So I can see a scenario where price breaks up, hits this resistance or possibly lower, and then just comes crashing back down. We absolutely are looking at, and I've pointed this out in the past, but it's worth repeating if for those of you that have missed it. If we look at price, guys, we see from this massive breakdown here all the way to the current point here, obviously price created a lower high. If we look at the, this is on the weekly chart, guys, remember, if we look at the MACD, looking at the histogram at the same points, created a higher high. This being an obvious downtrend, this would be divergence, in this case hidden divergence, and in this case hidden bearish divergence. So that would indicate, even though we could see a little bit more push up to the upside here, that would indicate indicate a pretty hard break back down. Does that mean that has to happen? Absolutely not. Does that mean there's a good chance? That means that the probability is certainly on the table, and probability-wise, I don't want to say probable, but absolutely possible, maybe better than 50-50, guys, that is going to get cleared at some point, come back down again and retest what I think would retest these prior lows here at about 32, 31.50, somewhere thereabouts. Yeah, that's a real possibility, guys. And remember, just looking at this bear flag, if that does get validated, we're looking at a target of around 3,000 to 2,500. So be very, very careful until we get a decisive break above. Again, by decisive, I mean at least a daily candle opening and closing above 41.20, but ideally we'd see a weekly candle open and close above 41.20, guys. If we can see that, guys, then I'll start to believe the bottom is in. Until then, until we clear all this noise up here, guys, I think there's a good chance that even if we temporarily break out, there's a good chance of a possible bull trap where price comes breaking right back down. Strengthening that argument is looking at longs and shorts, guys. Looking at shorts, they continue to fall off the board, even though in the last 8 hours or so we've had a little bit of life on shorts, a little bit of stacking here, but overall they've just been dropping off here pretty substantially. Now longs are basically just moving sideways here for the most part. They had a little bit of a drop off and then just started moving sideways, so not really stacking here, guys. So that does make me think that maybe the bulls have a shot here of pulling this off, but right now, there's no question longs outpace shorts. There's no question shorts have been falling off the board. And all that would suggest, guys, that all this would suggest a bull trap where price is going to end up breaking back down. So again, doesn't mean that has to happen. It just means that looking at that bearish divergence on that hidden bearish divergence on the weekly chart, looking at longs and shorts, guys, it is suggesting a possible bull trap. So be careful. That means that if price does break up here, guys, I would take profits along the way here. I would not be just especially if you're a swing trader, guys, I'd be taking profits fairly quickly. Now, if you're holding for the next year or two, by all means, dollar cost average in and forget about it. But if you're planning on getting out in the next few months, I would just take profits pretty quickly along the way here as you can. Looking at the daily chart, guys, we can see that the daily chart's hitting the top of the upper Bollinger Band here, finding some resistance there. We can see that this 21-day EMA has acted as very strong support all throughout since we've had this major uptrend starting off in February 8th. We came back down, hit that 21-day EMA, came back up, came back down, 21-day EMA, came back up, came back down, and we did not have a decisive break here. Remember, guys, I've been telling you a decisive break on the daily chart below the 21-day EMA would signal a shift in momentum in favor of the bears. This was not even a decisive break. This had a daily candle that closed below, but the next day closed right back above. So again, even though this did close below here, this was not a decisive break of that 21-day EMA. So 21-day EMA held there, came back down, held, came back down, even held here, again closed below, but the next day was right back up above. So again, the daily 21-day EMA has been a very good gauge here, guys. We're approaching an area where we may see a double top. But if we do end up breaking below that 21-day EMA decisively, again, I mean a daily candle both opening and closing below that 21-day EMA, again, that'd be a very good sign that the momentum is shifting in favor of the bears, and to be very careful. All right, let's quickly look at the weekly chart. Looking at the weekly chart, guys, we can see again Bollinger Bands are bottlenecking here. The tighter they get, the more the more potential that the next move is going to be a larger one. So they're on a beeline for each other right now, guys. They're basically playing chicken with each other, and we'll have to wait and see how this plays out. We're approaching the 21-week EMA, which again, a decisive break above that 21-week EMA there, guys, would be significant in favor of the bulls. Also, this may act as a very strong resistance, guys. So we'll have to wait and see. Again, we're really approaching a fork in the road where I think we're going to get a major move in one direction or another, and we may get a fake out in one direction just to have it move largely in the other. And right now, if I had to guess, I'd say a fake out to the upside followed by a very hard move back down to the downside. All right, zooming all the way in on the daily chart here, guys, we can see we've broken out of this what looked like a wedge pattern here. We just broke out slightly, came back down, tested it, what was resistance, acted as support, and we bounced right off it. And now we're coming back up to test the top of our major area of resistance here, guys. And as I pointed out last time, since price broke down here, guys, I'll just quickly review this. The first place where it created structure was right here. So if I use that, the wick off the top of that as my pivot high, pivot low, we can see that we're just crashing crashing right into that area of that golden pocket between the 618 and the 65 fib level, also known as the golden pocket, guys. Very strong area of resistance. A decisive break above that, again by decisive I mean a daily candle both opening and closing above that zone, would be an extremely bullish sign, guys. With this, again, has been a very hard resistance, and I can definitely see, guys, even wicking above here and a very hard break right back down. I pointed out last time, guys, obviously we have the makings of a possible double top here on Bitcoin, as well as a few other coins like EOS, but certainly here on Bitcoin. And this looks like this is setting up again for a possible bull trap. I pointed that out for numerous reasons, guys, but as I said last time, let me just go ahead and draw this out here. As we said last time, we can see that price right here, excuse me, let me get a drink of water real quick, guys. Okay, I'm back. We can see the price already took out this this little sub high, this little the high point of this microstructure back here. Obviously, price took that out, so we can see from point to point right here to here, we created a higher high. That's pretty obvious. If we look down here at the histogram's created a lower high. That's obvious divergence. In this case, we're looking at the upside, small uptrend. Looking at the upside here, so that's going to be just regular divergence. In this case, looking at the uptrend here, that's going to be bearish divergence, and again, would suggest a temporary breakdown in price. But even larger than that, if this does end up continuing to the upside, to that possibly wicking up here very, very strongly and taking out this prior high right here, which sits at about 4190-ish. On Coinbase, it's about 41.90. If we do take out this prior high, guys, again, we'd be setting up for, we'd be looking at something like this. If we just take out that prior high, what would we have? We'd be having, assuming that price did continue up there, we'd be having something like this. Let's say price takes out that high, ends up somewhere in this zone here. And so we look at it, we go point to point, price created a higher high. If we come down here and look at that exact same point on the histogram, from point, again, to what would be the new high here. So let's say the histogram comes up to about this point. We're still having major divergence here, guys. Major divergence. In this case, major bearish divergence. Also suggesting a possible breakdown in price, even in the long term here. So even if we do come up here, guys, this is why I say it looks like we're setting up for a very big possible bull trap. Does that mean that has to happen? Absolutely not. In fact, if FOMO takes over, and we get all kinds of people coming in and buying, and volume just spikes, real volume just spikes rapidly, guys, you know, that could absolutely push through all this, and all the TA in the world could get thrown right out the window, and the lid could get blown off this thing. I don't think that's going to happen, but it's certainly a possibility, guys, and I don't want to count that out, because we've seen that happen in the past when crypto just went nuts. We're not seeing any signs of that yet, but again, it doesn't mean it can't happen. But as of right now, guys, if I'm a betting person, guys, I would bet on price breaking up here, especially if it clears 4120. I'd expect it to break up here pretty high, possibly hit this zone to about 4,500-ish, if not even a little bit higher than that, guys, but then a hard rejection and a hard break right back down. It looks to me like we're setting up for a pretty big possible bull trap. When will my analysis change? My analysis will change if we get a daily candle both opening and closing above 4120. I still think that would I think that would mean we'd have a little bit more upside here, but not a lot. I still think that we'd possibly come up here, hit this 4,500 area somewhere thereabouts, guys, and then we possibly coming back down for a retest. And we'll have to wait and see how that ends up playing out at that point, guys. But if we end up breaking up here, guys, pretty strong. Excuse me. If we end up breaking up here, I really want to see it clear this area right here between a decisive break above about 4,400. Call it, yeah, 4,250 to 4,400. Call it this area right here. If we can clear all this noise decisively, again, a decisive break above all this noise, guys. In other words, a daily candle both opening and closing above 44, 4,500. At that point, I'll start to truly believe that the bottom is in. Again, not just a wick above there, guys, not a wick, but a decisive break above there. Now, if we do end up breaking back down, how far do I think it'll break down? I think it's going to come back down to approximately this $3,800 area, this area of support right in here. I think this should be this was obviously a decent area of support from this little microstructure that we've been building up here, and we can see that in the past year, guys, it's been a very, very relevant zone, even going all the way back to November of last year. A lot of order structure back in here, guys. There should be a lot of support around 3,800. If 3,800 does break down, though, guys, I think it's a quick drop from 3,800 to 3,650, if not 3,600, excuse me, if not 3,550. This little area right down here. So that's about how far I'm looking to end up breaking down. Now, if it's a hard breakdown, guys, I think possibility-wise, I think that we're going to come back down and hit that target of that bear flag on that weekly chart of 3,000. I think that's a possibility, but it's not something I'm looking at now, guys. In fact, I would think a possible double bottom down here at about 3,150, somewhere thereabouts, would probably be about as low as it would go, in my opinion. Doesn't mean that I'm right. It just means, in my opinion, that's what I'd be looking at. So we'll have to wait and kind of end up seeing how this plays out. As far as how am I trading Bitcoin right now, guys, I'm kind of staying out of it. No, I forgot, guys. I wanted to point this other thing out on the weekly chart. Another reason that we're looking at about 3,800 for a decent support, guys. We can see even if it broke down right now, that 50-day moving average, which is a very strong support, is approximately at about 3,800 right now. So this is why I do think, and just climbing. So I do think 3,800, 3,850 would be a rather strong support, even 3,900 possibly, guys. Also, I want to point out that we're not that far away from this 200-day moving average, guys, which is fairly significant. In fact, we could have approximately a 10%. What are we about? We're currently sitting, if we're at about 4,100, that 200-day moving average right now is currently sitting at about 4,600 right now. So what are we looking at? About a $500 move-ish, something like that. Excuse me. Sorry, guys, I'm gonna clear my throat, man. We've got this this bug doing one around our house for about the last about 3-4 weeks. We just keep giving it to each other. So anyway, so yeah, we've got about a $500 move to come up here and hit that 200-day moving average, guys. That's only about a 10% move, which we know that Bitcoin can move 10%, especially if that volume pops, guys, and we end up breaking above this massive area of resistance here, guys. When we pop up above with volume, that could happen fairly significantly, guys. And if we can get up above and close above the 200-day moving average, that, guys, would be an extremely bullish sign, guys. I will start to get some massive FOMO if we do end up breaking above that 200-day moving average decisively. Again, not wicking, but a decisive break above where we both open and close on the daily chart above there. So, and it's really not that far off, about an 11% move right now, and that would put us above that 200-day moving average. All right, guys, I spent longer than I wanted to on Bitcoin. I'm just going to very quickly run through EOS. EOS is approaching, as I told you guys last time, we were able to stay above this $4.27. What was resistance is now acting as support. Bounced off it here for the last 2 days. Came back up, tried to test the prior high here of 450, actually about 453. We know we had a lot of support there, or resistance, excuse me, at about 450. So we're looking at a possible double top scenario, very similar. I pointed this out last time, guys. Pointed out this 453 area, this double top, is a possible area where we see price end up breaking down fairly hard. If we come over here and we look at our MACD, guys, again, I pointed this out last time as well, setting up for some very serious divergence if we do end up breaking up above here, guys. If we do pop up above this this area of this prior high, I should say. If we do pop above that, guys, what is that going to set up? We would create a higher high on price. Come over here, looking at the MACD, exact same points. Say that comes up just a little bit, we'd be creating that lower high. We're already creating that lower high here, but technically we're not in bearish divergence yet. If we do pop above there, guys, that would put us in bearish divergence, guys, and that would suggest, again, a harder breakdown. And I would say we'd be breaking down to at least this area right here, which would put us at about 385-ish, somewhere thereabouts, if not lower. Again, we know EOS is somewhat tied to Bitcoin, even though we've seen somewhat of a break between the two right now, or a break between the two in the last few weeks, a little bit, but they're still fairly coupled, guys. For now, I don't think that's going to last for long, but for now they are. So if Bitcoin breaks down, and the severity of which Bitcoin breaks down, EOS could do that as well. But I'd be looking at support here at about $3.85-ish, somewhere thereabouts. That breaks down, we're coming to about $3.15 to $3 range. Again, somewhere thereabouts, guys. Daily RSI is just now getting overbought. So again, guys, it's looking a little bit extended. Does that mean it can't go up any further? No, absolutely not. Just means probability-wise, it does look like we're going to need a little bit of a at least some consolidation, if not a little more of a correction before it does continue back to the upside, if it does continue back to the upside. If it dropped back down here to about 380, I might pick up a little bit, guys. Scalping at 380, targeting 400, 425 if you're a little more risk. If you're willing to accept a little bit more risk, but for right now, guys, I'm kind of hands off. I'm not touching it. In fact, I'm out of most of my trades. I took 50% off the board here when it hit. Actually, when it hit, I think I took 50% off the board at 420. And I went ahead and just yesterday watching this thing, guys, I saw it wick back up here. Didn't quite actually didn't execute my trade. I was going to try to get out all at 450, and either it didn't hit it or I didn't get my trade filled. But I went ahead and just manually got out at about 430 again as it came back down. So I'm completely out of my position. Other than my long-term holds with the EOS, guys, I'm not going to sell those. Those are by definition long-term holds, and I'm going to hold on to those. But I do day trade EOS as well, and I've gotten completely out of that, guys, completely. So I'm just going to wait and see how this ends up playing out. But it does look like we're getting poised to move with EOS. Quickly looking at Ethereum, go ahead and close up EOS, guys. Quickly looking at Ethereum, very quickly looking at Ethereum. It's bouncing now between, it's hitting right on top of resistance between 123 and 132, right on top of that 132 resistance there, guys, bouncing back and forth between the top of which is 150, kind of bouncing between resistance and support. Right now, guys, it does look to me, like Ethereum may come up once again, test this prior high, the high of this little microstructure right here, this prior wick here, this prior high of this microstructure, and in my opinion, I think it would probably bounce right back down here. I don't see a good trade with a trade set up with Ethereum right now. This is a decent little demand zone, small little pocket of demand zone down here between 123 and 132. If it does come back down there again, little scalp trades about all I'm seeing. Up here, guys, if it can break up above 150 and start to consolidate, I do think that'd be a good sign of strength, guys. But in my opinion, I think even if we do come up here, I think it's going to get rejected pretty hard and come right back down possibly. Doesn't mean it has to, just means it looks that way to me. This 150 to 165 zone is a very strong resistance, acted as support back here numerous times, acted as resistance here quite a few times. But if we can break up, if it does break above that, if it breaks above 165, guys, there's a lot of blue sky between 165 and 200. So if we can not a wick above 165, but if we can break above and start to at least consolidate above 165, guys, I do think that wouldn't be a bad buy, targeting about 200, 195, 200, in my opinion. Doesn't mean that has to happen, just means, guys, it looks to me like if it did break above there, guys, I'd start to get a lot more bullish. For now, guys, I'm kind of hands-off approach, guys, just kind of watching and waiting. I don't see a real good trade setup with Ethereum at the moment. All right, quickly looking at XRP. XRP looks like it's about to make a larger move, guys. It really does, like Bitcoin and possibly EOS even. But XRP really looks like it's about to pop. We can see we've had a series of lower highs, a series of higher lows here, guys, and that's going all the way back to 2017 as far as the higher lows, and of course these lower highs going all the way back to January of 2018. So it does look like we're reaching this point to where we're having this massive descending resistance line here, finding some resistance there. Of course, we have this smaller wedge as we zoom in here on the daily chart, guys. We have this smaller wedge that it's been consolidating in here since December of 2018, getting tighter and tighter, reaching the apex here where that massive resistance line is converging with it, guys. So again, all of this suggests, and we've got that support down here. We also have this more local support back from December that's been bouncing right on top of, which sits right around 29 cents, guys. So I'm watching this very closely. We have a very hard demand zone between about 32 and 35 cents. A break above that demand zone, guys, we see another demand zone right here between 38 and 40 cents, guys. So if we can break above 40 cents, guys, I do think that it'd be a very quick rise to about maybe 47, 50 cents-ish, but that's a lot of resistance to break through. That being said, we are seeing a decent increase in volume on Ethereum, and we are approaching an apex of a very big consolidation period, a very big period where prices beginning to squeeze tighter and tighter and tighter. And it does look like to me we may get an explosive move here in the next week or so. To the downside, guys, I'd be looking at, if it does end up breaking down, I'd be looking at support somewhere around 19. 19 to 20 cents, maybe even 23 cents, somewhere down in this area to the upside, guys. And we'll also watch out for the bull trap. Watch out for the break above until we break 40 cents, guys. Watch out for the bull trap where we break above and then just crashes right back down. And it's also true we could see a bear trap where price ends up breaking down, hits this area of support, and then just comes back right back up. But I think the more likely scenario would be a bull trap where we break up, hit resistance, and then just comes crashing right back down. And again, I know this is frustrating to hear from an analyst. Could go up, could go down. That's brilliant. Yeah, I understand that. I know that's frustrating, guys. And again, I would like to just lie to you and tell you and just pick a side. Mostly, I just, like many people, just tell you it's bullish, buy, buy, buy. That'd get me a lot more clicks. But right now, approaching the apex here, and especially in this market, I don't know. Probability-wise, I think, just my bias is I think we're going to see a break up to about 35 cents-ish, and then a break right back down, a crash right back down, because I've seen, I see a makings of a bull trap with Bitcoin, and I know Ripple is going to follow Bitcoin, very likely going to follow Bitcoin. That being said, I could be completely wrong here, guys. We could, this could be the time where Ripple just crashes and takes out all resistance and just goes on some ungodly rant. So that's a real possibility too, guys. So I'm hands off with Ripple, guys. If you like the project, a lot of people hate it, some people like it. Personally, to me, I don't really like the project, but I will absolutely, if I see a money making opportunity, I have no problem buying it and making money off of Ripple. So if you believe in the coin, if you by all means slowly start dollar cost averaging in, I would just recommend taking profits along the way until we do clear 50 cents. If we can clear 50 cents and 50 cents starts acting as support, then I'd feel a little more comfortable holding it for the longer term. But for now, guys, if we do get a breakout, I would take profits along the way. And I do hold a little bit of Ripple, guys, in my long-term hold portfolio. And I will consider, as soon as we get a breakout up above this zone, guys, I will consider entering into a small scalp trade. If we do get a break up above here, maybe buying at 32 cents, targeting 38 cents, somewhere thereabouts, being very careful of a quick reversal. But for the most part, guys, and especially if you're a conservative trader, especially if you're not sure, by all means, guys, best thing to do is always just sit on the side and wait for confirmation of a trend in one direction or another. All right, I'm going to go ahead and wrap things there, guys. This has gone way too long. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, please let me know in the comments section below. As always, I would appreciate an upvote if you have enjoyed this content. Until next time, guys, please trade safe. Take care of yourselves. This is Workin.